It might sound so simple you'll laugh, but I have seen countless people whose lives were utterly transformed by this one spoonful. A case of insomnia that even powerful sleeping pills couldn't conquer was overcome by two things you almost certainly have in your kitchen right now: honey and salt. Hello, my name is Dr. Robert Miller, and I am an 85-year-old psychiatrist who has been treating patients with sleep disorders for over 40 years. After a long career as a professor of psychiatry at a university hospital, I officially retired. However, I still see patients at a small private clinic 3 days a week, and these aren't short days. I'm there from 8 a.m. sharp until 4 p.m., a full 8-hour workday. My patients often ask me, "Doctor, what's your secret? How do you have so much energy in your mid-80s?" I always smile and give them the same answer. If you can master your sleep, you've already won half the battle for your health. It wasn't always this way for me. I used to be the one waking up multiple times a night, greeting the morning with a wave of exhaustion before my feet even hit the floor. At 65 years old, I couldn't even close my eyes without the help of a sleeping pill. But today, I sleep soundly until 6 a.m. without waking up a single time. They say your sleep duration naturally shortens as you age, but the quality of my sleep has actually improved. I wake up feeling clear-headed, refreshed, and ready to embrace the day, and I do it all naturally, without any medication. Does that sound unbelievable? I wouldn't have believed it myself at first, but I have experienced it firsthand, and I have witnessed the same remarkable changes in so many of my patients. The secret was incredibly simple: honey and salt. If you stay with me through this discussion today, your life could change as soon as tonight. The nightly struggle we all know. How hard do you fight for sleep each night? Have you become dependent on sleeping pills? Feeling a little pang of anxiety if you realize you're running low? Do you feel like your lack of quality sleep is draining the energy from your daily life, leaving you in a perpetual state of fog? I remember a patient of mine, John Peterson. He was 65, recently retired after a 35-year career at a public utility company. He told me something I've heard countless times since. When I was working, I was so tired I just passed out at night. My body was physically exhausted from the daily grind. But after he retired, the nights became something to fear. With no job to go to, his days were less physically demanding, and he saw fewer people. When darkness fell, his mind would race. He'd lie in bed, replaying worries, planning things he didn't need to plan, and tossing and turning until the first light of dawn brought a sense of defeat. Falling asleep was an ordeal, but waking up in the middle of the night was even worse. Once his eyes opened at 2 or 3 a.m., he knew it was a lost cause. The more he tried to force himself back to sleep, the more awake he became. "The moment I'm just lying there in the dark," he said, "all my anxieties come rushing in." I understood his feeling perfectly because I had lived it myself. There was a time, around the age of 72, when I was completely unable to sleep without medication. For hours, I would roll over in bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind refusing to shut down. When I finally did drift off, I would inevitably wake up in the early hours of the morning, and the whole agonizing process would start again. It was a deeply ironic and humbling situation. Here I was, a psychiatrist, advising my patients on how to reduce their dependence on medication. While I couldn't get through a single night without it, it started with a low-dose pill, but inevitably, my body built up a tolerance. The dose that worked last month was useless this month. I found myself needing stronger and stronger prescriptions until I was eventually taking the most potent sleeping medication I could legally prescribe. And even then, its effectiveness began to wane. The days were a nightmare. A thick fog of fatigue hung over me constantly. I struggled to concentrate during patient consultations. There were times I had to fight back a yawn so hard my eyes would water, hoping the person sitting across from me wouldn't notice. A psychiatrist struggling with his own mental and neurological health. What a bitter irony. Even more frightening was the effect it had on my memory. I started forgetting patients' names, details of their cases. I should have known by heart. I had to double and triple check my notes, something I'd never had to do in nearly 40 years of practice. My family was worried sick. My wife installed motion sensor lights in the hallway. Terrified I might fall on my way to the bathroom in a medicated daze. My adult children began to gently suggest that maybe it was time for me to fully retire. Perhaps this sounds familiar to you. Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night for no reason, only to find it impossible to fall back asleep? Do you have a parent, a spouse, or a friend who is suffering from the lonely torment of insomnia? If so, I believe what I have to share today could be of immense help. A chance encounter and a simple solution. One day, I ran into a man who had been my mentor in my 30s, a brilliant researcher named Professor Evans. He was well into his 90s, yet he was still delivering a special lecture once a week at the university and actively publishing papers. He was sharper and more energetic than I was. Aman. 2 decades. My senior. I was astonished and asked him what his secret was. Professor Evans looked at my tired face, a knowing and compassionate expression in his eyes. He reached into his briefcase and pulled out a small glass jar. Inside was a mixture of what looked like golden honey and white salt crystals. What he told me next was so unexpectedly simple, I almost dismissed it. He said, "Robert, take 1 spoonful of honey and a tiny pinch of salt. Dissolve it in a bit of warm water and drink it before you go to bed." I was deeply skeptical. How could this possibly work? In my 40 years as a psychiatrist, poring over medical journals and attending conferences, I had never heard of such a remedy. It sounded like an old wives' tale, but I was also desperate. That night, with no real expectation, I gave it a try. I mixed a teaspoon of honey and a small pinch of salt into a glass of warm water and drank it down. To my complete astonishment, I felt my eyelids get heavy about 10 minutes sooner than usual. But the real shock came in the morning. For the first time in years, I had slept through the entire night without waking up once. It must be a coincidence, I thought, but I tried it again the next night. And the night after that, after a week, the number of times I woke up during the night had been cut in half. After a month, I was able to reduce my sleeping pill dosage by half. And after 3 months, in what felt like a miracle, I stopped taking sleeping medication entirely. My body was the first to tell me this was real. I woke up with a clear head. My concentration during the day returned. I could remember patients' names and details effortlessly again. But the most striking change was my energy level. I suddenly felt 10 years younger. However, as a physician, I couldn't draw a conclusion from a single case study, even if it was my own. So, I began to cautiously recommend this method to some of my patients, particularly those who expressed a desperate desire to reduce their dependence on medication. The results were astounding. Arthur Williams, Tishasen, who used to take hours to fall asleep, was drifting off within 10 minutes after just 3 days. Mr. Harrison, Tisherba, had a peculiar habit of waking up at 2 a.m. every single night like clockwork. After 2 weeks, that pattern was broken, and then there was Eleanor Vance, an 80-year-old woman who had been taking sleeping pills for 20 years. Within 2 months, she was completely off them. The words that stuck with me the most came from her. "Doctor, everything changed when I started drinking this. I can't believe there was such an easy solution all along." And now, we arrive at the heart of our discussion today. If you will listen carefully to the 5 key benefits of this honey-salt sleep method, you will understand exactly why this simple concoction is so profoundly effective. The 5 profound effects of the honey-salt sleep method. Perhaps until now, you've believed that insomnia is something you just have to live with, an inevitable part of aging or a problem that can only be managed with prescription drugs. I'm here to tell you that is not the case. Let me share the secret to true, deep sleep, backed by both modern science and 40 years of clinical experience. It drastically reduces the time it takes to fall asleep. The natural sugars in honey have a calming effect on the brain, significantly shortening the time you spend tossing and turning. This isn't just a folk remedy. There is a clear biochemical process at work. Here's how it happens. Consuming a small amount of sugar prompts a controlled release of insulin from your pancreas. This insulin helps an amino acid called tryptophan cross the blood-brain barrier more easily. Once in the brain, Tryptophan is converted into serotonin, the feel-good neurotransmitter that promotes relaxation and a sense of well-being. As evening progresses, that serotonin is then converted into melatonin, the body's primary sleep hormone. Think of it like a gentle, natural cascade. Honey, insulin, tryptophan, serotonin, melatonin, sleep. Your brain uses glucose, a form of sugar, as its primary fuel source. A small, strategic dose of natural sugar before bed can prevent the brain from becoming overactive, helping it transition into a stable, restful state. It's crucial, however, that you use natural honey and not processed sugar. Honey contains a balanced blend of glucose and fructose, along with various minerals and enzymes that support healthy brain activity, whereas refined sugar can cause disruptive spikes and crashes in blood sugar. The case of Arthur Williams is a perfect example. This 73-year-old man would lie in bed for 2 hours, his mind racing. He told me he used to leave the television on, hoping the noise would eventually lull him to sleep, but even that had stopped working. After just 3 days of drinking the honey salt water, he told me, "Doctor, I'm asleep in 10 minutes. Is this magic?" 2 weeks later, he was sleeping peacefully without the TV on for the first time in years. The method. Recipe. Mix 1 level teaspoon of honey into 200 milliliters, about 7 ounces of warm water. Timing. Drink it approximately 30 minutes before you plan to go to sleep. Water temperature. The water should be warm, not hot. A good test is to put a drop on the back of your hand. It should feel pleasantly warm. Water. Hotter than 140 degrees Fahrenheit, 60 degrees Celsius, can destroy the beneficial enzymes in raw honey. The ritual. After drinking it, dim the lights in your bedroom. Put away your phone. Perhaps read a few pages of a book, or do some gentle meditation as you wait for sleep to come. Important considerations. Diabetes. If you have diabetes, you must be cautious. Reduce the amount of honey to half a teaspoon and consult with your doctor before trying this method. Digestive issues. If you have a sensitive stomach, you might find it better to drink it 1 hour before bed. Honey allergies. If you have a known allergy to honey or pollen, you should not use this method. Patience. The effect is different for everyone. Some people feel it on the very first night, while for others, it may take a week of consistent use to notice a significant difference. Think about your own routine. How long does it typically take you to fall asleep after you get into bed? If it's more than 30 minutes, this method could be particularly helpful for you. It reduces or eliminates waking up in the middle of the night. The salt in this mixture works to stabilize your stress hormones, particularly cortisol, which is a primary culprit behind nighttime awakenings. Our bodies naturally begin to produce cortisol around 3 or 4 a.m. to prepare us for waking up. However, as we age, or when we are under chronic stress, this hormonal rhythm can become dysregulated. Many people experience a premature or overly aggressive cortisol spike in the middle of the night, which jolts them awake. The minerals in salt, particularly the sodium, indirectly support adrenal function and help maintain stable blood sugar levels throughout the night. A sharp drop in blood sugar overnight is a major stressor on the body. This signals an emergency, causing the release of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline to raise blood sugar, which in turn wakes you up. This is one of the main reasons so many older adults find themselves wide awake between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m. Salt helps to buffer these dramatic blood sugar fluctuations. Furthermore, unrefined salts like Himalayan pink salt or natural sea salt contain dozens of trace minerals, including magnesium and potassium, which are known to calm the nervous system. I think of Mr. Harrison, the 7-8-year-old who had been waking up at 2 a.m. every night for over 20 years. He would go to the bathroom and then find it impossible to fall back asleep, often spending the rest of the night watching television or reading. His wife told me his sleeplessness had become her own, as his tossing and turning would keep her awake. 2. After 2 weeks of drinking the honey and salt water, he came into my office beaming. "I'm sleeping through the night now," he said with joyful disbelief. Even if I do get up to use the restroom, I fall right back to sleep. The method. Recipe. Add 14 teaspoons of natural, unrefined salt, like Himalayan or Celtic sea salt, along with the honey and warm water. Lifestyle support. It's best to eat a light dinner and finish your meal at least 3 hours before bed. To reduce the need to urinate during the night, try to limit your fluid intake in the 2 hours leading up to bedtime. Aside from your honey salt drink, important considerations. High blood pressure. If you have hypertension, reduce the amount of salt by half to 18 teaspoons. And always consult with your doctor. Kidney or heart conditions. If you have impaired kidney function or a heart condition that requires careful management of fluid and sodium intake, you must speak with your physician before trying this. Diuretics. If you are taking diuretic medication, be aware that your electrolyte balance can be delicate. Please consult your doctor. Salt sensitivity. If you are sensitive to salt, start with a truly tiny amount, just a pinch, and see how your body responds. Do you find yourself waking up at the same time every night? Take a moment to think about what time that is, and how you feel when it happens. SAN. It increases the percentage of deep sleep. The combination of honey and salt helps your brain produce GABA and melatonin, two key players in promoting deep, restorative sleep. Sleep is not a monolithic state. It's a cycle of light sleep and deep sleep. It is during the deep sleep stages that the real magic happens. This is when your body releases growth hormone for cellular repair, strengthens your immune system, regulates your metabolism, and consolidates memories. During deep sleep, the brain's glymphatic system is activated, flushing out metabolic waste products that accumulate during the day. As we age, the percentage of time we spend in deep sleep plummets. A healthy young adult might spend 20% of their night in deep sleep, but by the time you reach your 70s, that can drop to less than 5%. This is why many older adults can sleep for 8 or 9 hours and still wake up feeling exhausted. Helen Carter, a 70-year-old patient, was tormented by nightmares. She would frequently jolt awake in a panic, her heart racing, and find it impossible to calm down enough to sleep again. As a result, she was in a constant state of fatigue and anxiety. About 3 weeks after starting the honey salt sleep method, she told me, "I sleep so deeply now. I don't even remember my dreams." The color had returned to her face, and there was a new energy in her voice. The method. Optimize your environment. Your sleep environment is just as important as the drink itself. Keep your bedroom cool, ideally 65-70 degrees Fahrenheit or 18-21 degrees Celsius, and ensure the humidity is between 40-60%. Pre-sleep ritual. Engage in calming activities. Gentle stretching, meditation, or reading a physical book can signal to your body that it's time to wind down. Blue light blockade. This is non-negotiable. You must eliminate exposure to blue light from phones, tablets, and TVs for at least 1 hour before bed. Blue light directly suppresses melatonin production. Timing is everything. Avoid strenuous exercise or heavy meals within 3 hours of bedtime. Avoid caffeine after 2 p.m., as its half-life can be 5 to 7 hours. While alcohol might make you feel drowsy initially, it severely disrupts deep sleep later in the night. Consistency. The key to maximizing deep sleep is a regular sleep schedule. Go to bed and wake up at roughly the same time every day, even on weekends. Do you wake up in the morning feeling refreshed and restored, or do you still feel tired? If it's the latter, a lack of deep sleep is almost certainly the reason. It helps to reduce snoring and mild sleep apnea by calming the sympathetic nervous system, your fight-or-flight response, and promoting deeper relaxation. This method can help stabilize the muscles in your airway, leading to a reduction in snoring. As we get older, the muscles around our throat and tongue naturally lose tone. When we sleep, these muscles can relax too much, partially obstructing the airway and causing the vibrations we know as snoring. While severe sleep apnea is a serious medical condition that requires professional treatment, this simple remedy can help with mild snoring by reducing the overactivation of the sympathetic nervous system, which can contribute to airway collapse. George Fleming, 76 had a snoring problem so severe that he and his wife had started sleeping in separate rooms. After 40 years of sharing a bed, this created a painful distance in their relationship. George felt ashamed, and his wife felt exhausted. After 1 month of practicing the honey salt method and implementing some positional sleeping changes, I suggested. He came to my office with a huge smile. "My wife and I are sleeping in the same bed again," he announced proudly. "She says my snoring has gotten so much quieter." The method. Sleep position. Try sleeping on your left side. This position can prevent the tongue and soft palate from collapsing against the back of your throat. Elevate your head. Raise the head of your bed by about 15 degrees. You can do this by placing blocks under the bedposts or using a wedge pillow. This uses gravity to help keep your airway open. Pillow height. Ensure your pillow is the correct height. A pillow that is too high or too low can strain your neck muscles and worsen snoring. Throat exercises. Simple exercises can strengthen the muscles in your throat. Try this. Extend your tongue as far out as you can, then retract it. Repeat this 10 times. For 3 sets. Daily. Important considerations. See a doctor. If you suspect you have sleep apnea symptoms, include loud snoring, gasping for air during sleep, and excessive daytime sleepiness. You must get a professional diagnosis. Untreated sleep apnea can lead to serious cardiovascular problems. Weight management. For many people, losing excess weight is the single most effective way to reduce snoring. Avoid alcohol. Alcohol is a muscle relaxant and will worsen snoring and apnea. Nasal congestion. If you have allergies or chronic sinus issues, treating the nasal congestion can significantly improve your snoring. Do you have a partner who struggles with your snoring? Or perhaps you're unaware of it yourself? You can use a smartphone app to record the sounds you make while sleeping to get a better idea of the severity. Woo! It transforms your entire life. Good sleep is the foundational rhythm that connects your emotions, digestion, memory, and immunity. Its benefits extend far beyond simply curing tiredness. Sleep is the time when your body's systems reset and repair. Chronic sleep deprivation is not a minor inconvenience. It's a major health crisis linked to a weakened immune system, memory loss, depression, cardiovascular disease, and an increased risk of diabetes. This is especially true in our later years. Our internal body clock, our circadian rhythm, is calibrated by a consistent sleep-wake cycle. Simply going to bed and waking up at the same time every day can create a monumental shift in your health. The honey salt drink helps to establish and reinforce this healthy rhythm. I think back to Helen Carter, the 4-year-old woman who had been suffering from depression for 6 years. She was on medication but still felt a profound lack of motivation and joy. She rarely smiled, even at family gatherings. 2 months after starting the honey salt sleep method, the improvement in her sleep quality led to a dramatic reduction in her depressive symptoms. My grandchildren came to visit last weekend. She told me, her eyes shining, and I was the one who ran to the door to greet them. I was laughing with them. That's something I couldn't have imagined doing a few months ago. She said she now enjoys waking up in the morning and planning her day while looking out the window. The method for life transformation. Morning sunlight. Get at least 30 minutes of direct morning sunlight exposure. This is one of the most powerful signals for setting your internal clock. Evening wind down. In the evening, practice gentle stretching or meditation, focusing on releasing tension in your neck and shoulders. Consistent meal times. Regular meal times also help to anchor your body's internal rhythms. Be patient. Don't give up if you don't see results after a few days. It can take several weeks for your body to establish a new rhythm. Think of sleep improvement as a long-term lifestyle change, not a short-term project. Holistic approach. Combine the honey salt drink with regular exercise, a healthy diet, and mindfulness for the most powerful results. Tapering medication. If you are currently taking sleeping pills, do not stop them abruptly. Always consult with your doctor to create a gradual tapering plan. Create your ritual. The most important thing is to create your own personal sleep ritual. Every night, at the same time, drink your honey salt water and follow the same sequence of preparations for bed. Your body will learn these cues and naturally shift into sleep mode. What is the one area of your life you most wish to improve? There's a very high chance that if you improve your sleep, that area will improve along with it. The change you are seeking might just begin with one spoonful of honey. Your new beginning starts tonight. Thank you for staying with me this long. In case you missed any details, let me give you a final, simple summary. The honey salt sleep method is this easy. 30 minutes before bed, mix 1 teaspoon of honey and a 1/4 teaspoon of natural salt into 200 milliliters of warm water. Turn off the TV and your phone. Make your room dark and quiet. For an even better effect, lie on your left side with your head slightly elevated. This simple act can shorten the time it takes you to fall asleep, reduce the number of times you wake up, increase the quality of your deep sleep, and even improve your snoring. Ultimately, it will enhance the entire quality of your life. Good sleep is the bedrock of good health. You can have a perfect diet and a consistent exercise routine, but if you aren't sleeping well, you will never achieve your full health potential. Sleep isn't just about resting. It is the most fundamental therapy for repairing your body and restoring your mind. It is never too late to start. If I could experience this profound change at 85, I am certain that you can, too. Why not let that 1 glass of honey salt water tonight change your tomorrow morning? I have met so many people who were completely skeptical, who thought this method couldn't possibly work, only to be astonished by the results. You can be one of them. Believe in it, and give it a try. And if you have found this information helpful, please share it with someone you care about who might be struggling with sleep. Your one simple act of sharing could change someone's life. Let's begin tonight. In our next discussion, I will talk about the 3 things you should do immediately upon waking in the morning. If you can master these, you can completely transform your entire day. I look forward to speaking with you then.